Welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked, where passion meets possibility. Here's your host, Meredith Calloway.
Welcome, everyone, to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast. I am Meredith Calloway, and I am co-founder and chief visionary officer of Gifted Travel Network. Welcome to today's podcast. I'm so excited. We have almost like a celebrity today as guest on today's podcast. We have John Rees of J5 Travel. John started our Travel MBA program within the first year of us offering the program. So I would say he's one of our most seasoned alums in the program, not by age, but by tenure in the business. And he might
Both.
have been like the fourth graduate of the program. I don't know. So, and John has a fascinating journey into travel entrepreneurship. So let me go ahead and welcome John to the podcast today. Welcome, John. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having me. This is exciting.
It's very exciting. So first off, John, why don't you tell us where you are actually recording today's episode from?
I am in Sorrento on the Amalfi Coast in Italy, 2/3 of the way through a sort of team trip and a trip that I end up at a conference in Lisbon, which is a golf conference, which will be my first golf conference related to travel. So yeah, I've dialed in for this today because it's definitely worth it.
Well, I'm very jealous of you getting to go to that golf conference. I would love to go to that too myself, just for personal reasons, but I have my own agenda. But okay, so let's kind of rewind and take us back to what your life looked like before you started this journey and before you started J5 Travel.
Right. So my entire career prior to travel was in finance. I mean, unless you count selling toys in Harrods, a job which I did for about a year. But after that, I had a job in banking. I was an interest rate trader, and that morphed into being a sort of sub hedge fund manager for a big company. Um, at one point in 2002, they needed someone on the East Coast of America, and I volunteered and persuaded family to move to the States. Um, and that went all swimmingly. And then 2012, the hedge fund blew up. Wasn't me. It really wasn't me. The boss man at the time blew the hedge fund up. And so for a couple of years, I'm like, well, all I've done is trade interest rates, foreign exchange, that sort of thing. So I tried doing that for about the next 2, 3 years with a partner I work with in London, and it just ground to a halt. It was just soul destroying. We weren't really getting anywhere. And 2015, April 2015, I was like, I've got to do something else. I knew what I wanted to do, and that was travel. So
How did you know it was travel? I think every single person that is drawn to this journey has a travel fanatic in them, is possibly even obsessed with travel.
yeah,
So tell us about your travel obsession and how did you satisfy it?
my mum and dad were good. They would drag myself and my brother, around the world a bit. It was not the most culturally rich travel that they would do, but it gave me the bug to see foreign countries. Um, and I just knew I loved it. In my like 30s and 40s, I would plan friends trips. I would plan family trips at that point for nothing, obviously, just because I love doing it. And both friends and family were like, "Oh, you're so good at this. You're so good at this." And it never occurred to me that it would be a career. But when 2015 came about and I was done in finance, I thought, well, maybe it could be. I didn't think of anything else. It was just like and I literally Googled, can you make money selling travel? And Google told me, yes, it is possible. Find a host agency. So I Googled that and your name came up. And you're in Mooresville and I lived in Mooresville. So that was just karma and
That was a
meant
little
to
bit of
be.
divine intervention
Yeah,
there.
I mean, it really was. I mean, and I knew you,
Yes.
already. I didn't know that's what you did. That's how terrible a friend I was. Like, I don't actually know what you do. So yeah, that was meant to be.
Well, technically, we were friends of friends, so I don't
Yeah.
really hold it against you that you
Okay,
didn't know
good.
what I
Thank
did.
you.
We had a good friend in common. And yeah, that is the irony of this, is that when John had this crazy idea, we had just launched the Travel MBA program about 6 months earlier. And so, I mean, we're talking about, I don't know, Mooresville is like a grand total of 40,000 people at the time, in the United States, and we happened to be in the exact same town where he was located. So, okay, what was your impression of? Well, I guess you didn't really have any, but did you have an impression, and if so, what was it of being a travel agent?
I was a completely open book. I had no idea.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely
that's
no
good.
idea what it would entail, what it would look like. I
Yeah.
just knew I wanted to do it, which makes no sense really. But if you're passionate about something, then you work it out.
Let's fast forward. What did your first, do you remember what your first year looked like in terms of, did you meet your expectations? What hiccups did you encounter that you didn't expect? And maybe also what big wins did you have that you also didn't expect?
I think the first year of sales was roughly $500,000, which I think was pretty good for year one. Um,
Very good.
I can't remember a big win. I remember the ones that went wrong
Well,
because
that's a
they went,
big win.
yeah, I guess so. I definitely remember the ones that went wrong, and I remember that. And I think this is probably very common among new to the industry people. Is like if you get an inquiry, you're so excited that no matter what it is, you're going to do it. And if when it comes to looking back, I did that for maybe the first 3 years when there should have been some trips I was like, no, that's not the right fit. Um, you learn that as you go on. That doesn't happen now, but
For
as a
those who are still, not on this journey yet and are just thinking about it, tell us why that's so important to make that mistake. I think it's really important for people to like literally have that
to
mistake, and
have
then
it happen too,
because you're much
definitely, yeah,
more, yeah. So
yeah.
tell us why that's important.
It's important because those trips that are either low cost trips or they're people who are just wringing everything they can out of you and then might not even book a trip. There's like three or four categories of trips that you just don't really want to touch, and you have to learn about them, and then it's once you learn about them and realize how bad they are, you can say no to them. But it's mainly because you're not getting paid enough to do them, or it's such a time suck. If a client is incredibly picky, wants numerous options, you think you've got it sorted, and then they change their minds. You know, that's something that it's not easy to handle when you've not handled it before. Um, and you can't run this business working many, many, many hours and not get paid for it. That just doesn't make sense. So learning that as soon as you can in the process would definitely help. Um, avoiding it altogether is probably not the right thing. You probably actually want to experience it so really
Mhm.
know what you don't want.
Because you went through our travel MBA program, at the infancy of this program, obviously it's changed a tremendous amount since you
A
went
heck of a
through
lot.
it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to necessarily ask you specific questions about, your experience going through that program, but what I do think is still very consistent is our philosophy of, have them come for the content, but stay for the community. Um, and it's true. I even talk to people who are looking into the program, and I talk to my membership development coordinator who's on the phone with people every single day, all year long, with people considering the program. And one of the number one questions that they ask about is the curriculum. What's in the curriculum? I want to see the curriculum. What am I going to learn about? They really want to get their hands on that curriculum. And I know that that's what they want,
Yeah.
but that's not necessarily what they need. So can you talk to um, really how important it was, number one, to have the curriculum, which I think is just creates a path for you to follow, but not, but even more important to have that community to make sure you stay on that.
Yeah. So so it's 9 years ago that I did this program. So
Wow.
my memory is like, not great past 1 week back.
You
So
can talk even
I
today.
yeah, I think you had like 13 webinars episodes to work through and it was a 6 month program. Um, but the main thing I remember is my mentor, Lisa Fletcher. So
Yeah.
without the mentor, without all the support she gave, all the questions she answered, I wouldn't have made it. I think I only got through 11 of the webinars, and I had a list of clients, that I cheated with, and I had a list from friends and family and all that sort of thing. So I was selling from the start. I wasn't like an empty book for a long time. So I was up and running quite quickly. Um, the content I remember was great because how do I book flights? How do I make money? It's when you come and you don't know anything. Um, there was enough there then that I picked it up very quickly, and I know now it's a lot deeper and probably infinitely better. But that content, while it being incredibly important, was nowhere near as important as having the mentor, and then on top of that, the community of fellow advisors and and other people at GTN. It just makes an amazing amount of difference.
Yeah. So now looking back on your journey today and where you are today. So where are you today? Do you know what your sales was through the third quarter of this year?
Yeah.
Can you
uh,
remember?
it's about it's about 3.6 million, I think. We should get close to 5 million for the year. It may be just under.
You're hoping to break 5 million in sales this year,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is absolutely phenomenal. Congratulations. That's really amazing. John is J5 Travel is in our top producers club, and he is an esteemed member of the top 10 crew. So that's quite an achievement, and you've always been there, pretty much from year 2 or 3 onwards. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think from 2018. Yeah.
Okay. So, um, what do you attribute your success to, if you can?
Um, I'm always trying to get better at the processes, all the processes, you know, and there's a lot of processes in this business. Um, I decided I wanted to build a team and, and grow, and that isn't for everyone. You can make money on your own, if you've got the great clients and you're incredibly well organized, you can do that. I wanted to build a team and give me the scope to get to, hopefully 10 million in a few years. That's the aim. Um, I just, I I I have loved the business from day one. I mean, even through COVID, I was I don't know, I was still confident through COVID, and I
You
did.
were like eerily calm throughout COVID. I seem to
Yeah,
remember.
maybe I'm a calm guy overall, but yeah, I mean, I there was a month where I was like, oh my God, this really is bad. Um, but when I got away from that, I'm like, I can, this is a good time to build a list. We built our list during COVID from what was about 500 to 4,500. So that,
Wow.
post COVID, that's helped us immensely. Um, but let's skip over COVID because it's been and gone.
I actually think COVID served us in so many ways
Mm,
positively. And I think the demand for travel today is so much greater than it's ever been, and it wouldn't be like that if it weren't for COVID.
yeah,
So it's definitely
I
served
agree.
us.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned you have a team. I love this. That's what's one of the things. This is Travel Business Unpacked. So for me, unpacking means getting deep and talking real stuff. And one of the things that you have done, um, and you've been, you did it early and you've stayed consistent with it, is building a team. And by building a team, I don't mean just bringing on a bunch of ICs. I mean hiring people as employees to sell travel under your business, under your agency. And that's a rare path for people in this as a hosted travel advisor. That's a rare path. Um, can you talk about that first time you pulled the trigger on hiring someone and the fears that it brought up or the doubts that it brought up? And how did you get over that?
Um, for me, I never had too many doubts. As you know, I was working with my wife in the business, and she had more doubts than me on hiring people. And then I'm going to talk about COVID again. COVID came, and with us both in the business, she was very, 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 very sensible and got her old job back in banking. And
Yeah.
that, without that, we would have been in a lot of trouble. So she did that and then decided that she loved her job again and would not come back to the business. So that left me like, oh, well, I do need to build a business. So I felt freed up to hire. And I hired, I think, two in 2020 and then again in 21. And by the end of 22, we'd got to eight on the team.
Yeah.
And that's a good steady number right now because the way we've improved our processes over the last 18 months, we have capacity to handle maybe 50% more business without hiring again. But we've been ahead of that curve all the time, I think.
Yes, that's awesome. I want to talk about the tweaking of the processes. And like you said, you're always learning, always wanting to
Mm,
improve, wanting to get
yeah.
better. Um, you know, when when we first offered the travel MBA program, we didn't have anywhere for people to go after the travel MBA program. And that's why during COVID, we actually um, came up with the other programs in Travel Business University. And so now it's a continuous program. It's a continuing education program for every single advisor in our network. And so you
Hmm.
start at Travel MBA. When you graduate from the Travel MBA program, you go into our Accelerate program. And then at the end of each year, we select the top 40 advisors and invite them into our top producers club, which is the top end of the Travel Business University program. And I've been at multiple mastermind meetings with you. One of the things that we do for our top producers club is a mastermind meeting. And the conversations to me that happen at those meetings are life-changing. And I know that there's an enormous amount of discussion on processes and how I do things, how you do things, and sharing of what, one person's really, you're the air geek, right? Everybody knows you as the air guy and the
Yeah,
miles guy. And
I am quite good at other stuff, but people just don't quite see that. Yeah.
but tell everyone about the um if those mastermind meetings have had a profound impact on your business, and how.
They have, and that's mainly because there are so many great people in the room when you get there, and you don't necessarily connect with everyone. You don't get fantastic ideas from everyone, but if it's a one-day meeting, there are going to be four, five, six things that you just go, why don't I do that? Or, oh my word, that's a fantastic idea, but let's put our twist on that. And that happens every time that, you know, the people who really know what they're doing get in the room together, is invaluable benefit of being part of GTN.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I just love watching those meetings happen because um, when I was on my own entrepreneurial journey at the very beginning of my journey, I was in a few different mastermind programs, and they were helpful, but they weren't as helpful as these. And the reason why is because everybody in these meetings is, at that what I call phase 4 of the business. And
Hmm.
so you're all pretty much in the same boat, but everybody's got their own tweaks. You can have your own business models, you can have your own ways of doing it. Um, but also everyone's in the same industry. And so there's all these like um terminologies that and acronyms that we can throw out in a room and everybody understands it. You don't need to explain it.
Yeah. Yeah. It took
And
me
so that
3 years to know what an FIT was. And actually, if you ask me what that acronym stands for, I still don't know.
I think there's multiple uh I think there are multiple names or
Yeah.
answers to that. Yeah. Fully itemized tours. Anyway. But the other thing that I want to talk to you about is for someone like you came from a pretty lucrative career
Yeah.
beforehand. um what what would you say to someone who is coming from a finance industry where they're getting compensated incredibly well, and their concerns about, is there enough financial upside in this journey for me to be happy?
I would say it'll take you a while to get there. Um, and I, even if I get to 10 million sales, well, I don't know. If I get to 10 million sales, I may be getting close to earning what I was earning, at my peak in finance. Um, but I don't do this for the money. I mean, I do it to make money, but I don't do it for the money. I do this because I'm passionate about it. I love our clients' reactions when you get a trip just perfectly right for them. Um, I love the work, you know, trading for a hedge fund. I thought I loved the work, but oh my God, no, I didn't. I absolutely did not. I wasn't excited every morning. I'm excited every morning to like, what have I got to do today? Is it an award booking with flights? Is it, a golf trip to Scotland? I just, it's more about that. Um, if you're coming at it because you want to earn a lot of money, that you've got to be really, really good, and you've got to be really focused on the higher end of travel. So I would genuinely say be careful if you're coming at it looking to make a lot of money, but it is perfectly possible.
And it can provide financial satisfaction. And that's one of the reasons why I say, if you are able to build a business that gives you the freedom of entrepreneurship, the fulfillment of really doing something that you love and changing people's lives because of it, and financial satisfaction, then you have a business and a life that you love and
Yeah.
you've achieved entrepreneurial success.
Yeah.
So there's enough upside for it to be financially satisfying. But I agree with you that if you're in this for the money, there's a better journey for you. But if you're in this because you have an undying passion for travel and it just makes you giddy to think about, doing this all day, every day. I mean, I know, do you have those moments like just, pinch me that this is actually my life?
Yeah. The last 10 days. I mean, I've been in Slovenia for a week and then Venice for 3 days, and now I'm in Sorrento. And, you
With
know,
your whole team.
with some of my, yeah, there were 5 of us in Slovenia. It's now 3 of us in Italy. But, we looked at each other several times over last week and like, this is unbelievable. We've eaten incredible food. We've drunk wine. We've done this within a budget.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, I'm pretty sure my whole team loves it, and I know I do. So, that's, there are some huge perks to being in the business. It fulfills me.
So worth the leap of faith, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, so the last thing I want to ask you about is, going back to you and your desire to build a team and the courage to do that. That does take courage to do that and go that route, but it's definitely paid off for you. But I think it's rewarded you in another way that maybe you weren't even expecting in terms of fulfillment. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and what's been incredibly fulfilling to you,
Yeah.
beyond planning travel?
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting this. I was building a team just to be able to grow our numbers, but it's become really fulfilling to me. Especially, I mean, 5 of our 6 employees are, 32 or younger. So um, I have a young team, and they make me proud every day. And I'm driven to now. I didn't think this would be the focus, like to encourage youth in travel. They are, they're all of them are better than me. They're faster. They study quicker. They take photos better. They do all that stuff better, and it makes me very happy to see them, work. They are driven to do their work really well, and of course they get the benefits of travel, and that I think they're loving their lives, and that just makes me very happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I love watching you just kind of get so proud when you bring maybe Kendall to the mastermind meeting and you just seeing her just speak up and engage, and he just beams with pride as if she's his own daughter. She's close to your daughter's age, but
Yeah, cheers.
but
Yeah,
but it's been really cool watching you get so jazzed about developing these younger, astute, very eager people, excited about having a career in the travel industry.
yeah, yeah. It's become very important to me. I like that. I will keep pushing for that.
So in closing, you think you're gonna, come close to 5 million this year. You may possibly have a goal of getting to 10 million at some point. But even at 5 million in sales, the reality is you are big enough now, you have your own team, you could go off and establish yourself, independent without a host agency.
Yeah,
I'm not
not going to do
encouraging
that.
you to do that,
No,
John.
I'm thinking you're not wanting me to do that, and I
I'm not
definitely don't
wanting you
want
to
to do
do
that.
that, but I want you to share why you want.
Why? Because GTN as a whole has been incredible through my whole journey. Um, I think probably the community is the main thing, that the way you focus on that all the way through, so that, I have peers in this industry who I can talk to, who I can ask questions to, in a small group basis, one-on-one basis. Um, Pretty much everyone will help everyone else, and I don't know if that happens in any other industry even, and
Mhm.
it may not happen anywhere else in this industry. So I think it's rare. I think I've been very lucky to be a part of that. And I have no reason to leave.
Yeah. Well, we love having you. And like I said, I'm not encouraging you to leave.
Good.
But I love your story. I think, honestly, I think one of the reasons why you have found success so quickly was because you said it at the beginning of this podcast. You were like, I had no expectations at all of what it was to be a travel advisor. And I think that really helped you because you leaned into luxury very quickly. You leaned into selling uber high-end luxury quicker than most people. And
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think
Yeah.
and I think one of the reasons why people don't lean in as quick as maybe you or others is because of that sense of, well, I don't know anybody who's willing to spend that kind of money
Mm.
on travel, or they look at travel, the cost of those experiences through the lens of their own wallet, and they
Yeah.
think, well, I would never spend that much money on a trip. I wouldn't ever ask someone to spend that kind of money on a trip. And what is your experience? There are people that spend it, right?
Oh yeah. A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say the opportunity in luxury travel is still, on the up?
I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that, we've constantly moved our like minimum trip spend up over the last few years. And it just keeps going. So,
Yeah.
the people's bucket list trips are now to-do lists rather than just pipe dreams. So there's a lot of people out there with a lot of money, and they're traveling.